The Gemara in the beginning of Sanhedrin quotes machlokas as to whether or not smuchin or juxtaposition is important, but everyone agrees that in this Sefer Dvar, and they are important. And in the beginning of this week's Parshat Shoftim, there's one example of those smuchin. The Torah says, Tzedek tzedek terdof l'man techiyad v'yirshah sa'aretz asher Hashem Elokecha noseim lach, that you should be righteous when you judge. And immediately after this, the Torah says, that you shouldn't plant a tree for avodah zarah. And what's the connection between these two seemingly totally irrelevant concepts? So the Gemara in Sanhedrin says that whoever appoints a judge who is not worthy and doesn't judge favorably, it's as if he planted a tree for avodah zarah. And if it was in place of someone who would have judged by the Torah, it's as if they planted a tree right next to the mizbeach. What's the connection between these two ideas? Furthermore, hold that point. If you look later in the Parsha, the Torah says, regarding how judges should judge in following their verdict, that you should follow the Torah, the judgment they give you from the place, from the Makom HaMikdash. And the Gemara of Avodah Zarah comments on this and says that that the place of the Makom HaMikdash is the source of their power. And Tosfos elaborates on this and says that when the Sanhedrin HaGedolah was situated in the Makom HaMikdash, that's what gave every other subcourt throughout Eretz Yisrael their power. When the Sanhedrin was removed from the Makom HaMikdash, then all the other courts were much more limited in their power because they were missing their true source. What's the connection between judgment and the Makom HaMikdash? So those are our two questions that we need to address. A, the connection between judgment and avodah zarah, and B, the connection between judgment and the Beis HaMikdash. So in order to understand these two concepts, we need to look at what's the purpose of the Mizbeach and the Makom HaMikdash. So the Rambam in the third Chelek of Mor Nevuchim says that Hashem had no need for animal sacrifice and actually despised it because it resembled avodah zarah. But in order to ease the Jewish people out of avodah zarah, he gave something called korbanos, which is a very strict framework of animal sacrifice, that this is what you're allowed to do. This person, this time, at this place, doing these actions. And any deviation from this strict framework is avodah zarah, which explains why the halachos of avodah zarah, such as being chayav kares for the wrong machshava, for the wrong thought, are so strict, because any deviation from this very tight framework that the Torah gives you is avodah zarah. Now, if we take a step back and look at how Rabbeinu Bachaya in the Kadei Kamach describes dayanim, judgment, he says that anyone who goes to a non-Jewish court is if they deny God and are kofar bakol, which is a very harsh punishment for someone who didn't do something seemingly that bad besides for go to a court. But if you reapply this concept of the Rambam to judgment, it makes perfect sense. That really mishpat le'el kimhi, and people have no right to judge another person. Just as we have no right to worship God however we want, we have no right to judge people however we want. The Torah gave us a very strict framework of how we're allowed to judge other people. It's called Choshi Mishpat, the Torah, and Parshat Shoftim. That's how we're allowed to judge. And any deviation from this framework is going above and beyond what we're allowed to do, and is going outside the framework of what the Torah allowed us to do, which is going outside of our rights and outside of what the Torah prescribed. And this explains here two questions. A, why do we need to be in the Makom HaMikdash? Why is it Makom Gorim? Because just as avodah zarah, just as korbanos need to be in a place of kedusha, right next to the Shekhinah to keep the Kohanim in line, and to be in a place of yira so they don't go outside of their boundaries, so two judges need to be in the Makom HaMikdash, in a place facing the Shekhinah, to know what their source of power is, to know that only Hashem gives them the right to judge and nothing else. Similarly, and just as any deviation from the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash is avodah zarah, and as if you planted a tree for avodah zarah, so too a judge who judges outside of what the Torah tells him to judge, it's as if he's a tree for avodah zarah, and especially if it was in the proper place, when he could have been proper, is right next to the mizbeach, which also symbolizes following the strict boundaries of what Hashem told us to do. So hopefully with this concept we could really appreciate the significance of Jewish judges and how that really symbolizes our connection to God.